Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Join alongside Jacob in Wisconsin. Here to talk Packers as Tim is out tonight on assignment. And Emilio's saying that he's working late, Jacob. I don't know. Do you buying it?
No, dude. He's playing Madden in his underwear. You know what he's doing. On rookie.
With the whitey tidy. He's got the Cheeto stains on the hip. Is it the right hip or the left hip? That's the question.
Both.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks. All right. Well, they're probably not going to be happy about this. It's a hell of a segue, but let's give a shout out to some partners of ours, the good folks over at My Autism Connection, building hope, community, and independence for autistic adults. I want to give them a shout out. If you want to give to a good cause, obviously autism affecting many people across the globe today. I know we've had several people listening, watching live that deal with it on a daily basis as well. So just want to give them a shout out, an awesome organization, and promote this giveaway we're doing, guys. This is just an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey that we've donated. If you're new here to the channel, I know we've promoted it several times already, Jacob, but really, really cool giveaway that we're doing here. Autographed Dorsey Levens jersey for anyone who donates to givebutter.com/KRPSJ5, or just go to my Twitter account at Packers_access. You'll see that pinned at the top of the page. For every $5 that's donated, you'll get entered into the contest one time where we're going to put everybody's name on the wheel, spin that sucker, and give away this awesome piece of Packers memorabilia. Again, that is My Autism Connection. Appreciate everything they're doing over there, making a difference. I see Mac and Cheese Podcast in the house tonight. Good to see you in here, Mary. Appreciate you swinging through. Assuming that's Mary with the account. I believe it is. So hopefully everybody's having an awesome day out there. Jacob, before we dive into some of the news here today, you got anything on the forefront of your mind you want to talk about, man? Anything at all? Maybe something you read or heard a rumor or anything, man. You want to say something bad about AFM? That's cool too. Whatever you want to do.
I mean, I could always go that route for sure. I didn't get a chance to dive into many podcasts today or look at any real news and stuff. I had actually busy at work. Emilio just makes fun of, makes stories up. I think I saw somewhere that Greg Rice, this is exactly what he's doing. He says, Emilio's just out looking for picks of rolled patterns in the grass so he can say it's his. All right. That's exactly what he does. But honestly, man, I think we're good to jump right into it.
All right. Good deal, man. Yeah, I guarantee you, Emilio, we're going to get a picture of some grass here in a minute. And he's sitting on his couch Googling yard picks is what he's doing and just throwing them up as if he did the work. So,
or he'll put like some retaining wall and claim that he spent all day building it.
Absolutely, man. All right, let's talk about some news that broke in the NFC North today. And I try not, if you haven't caught on, I try not to talk about the other teams. I know some podcasts, they go on, extensive content talking about the rest of the NFC North teams. I personally, there's nothing wrong with that. And I like listening to that content, but I try to make sure that we keep the majority of that off of this show and we just kind of be Packers centric. But when something like this happens, Jacob, it's worth mentioning, as Ian Rappaport tweeted out earlier today. And of course the news broke, I believe, with Frank Ragnow actually posting on his IG account. Lions All-Pro and Pro Bowl center Frank Ragnow, one of the game's best, has informed the team he plans to retire. A stellar career comes to a close. And I'll just kind of paraphrase, quote him, I guess you could say, from his IG account, where he said, man, I just don't, essentially he said he's banged up. His body can't take it anymore. And what's crazy, Jacob, he's only been in the league for 7 years, but you're seeing this become a little more common across offensive linemen in the game of football, where they look up after, that second contract and go, it just ain't worth it. Let's go ahead and hang it up and make sure that we can enjoy the latter years of our life. I'm going to talk about how important he was to the Lions and how this is kind of a big deal for Detroit. But before we do, I want to get your take, man. What do you think about this? Did you see this news coming down the pipe?
I'll be honest, I did not see that up until just now, and that is very big deal. We've spoken at length, especially recently with the developments with Elton Jenkins about how important that center position is and how it may be the most underrated position for sure on the offensive line. I think possibly in football. I think you've said that multiple times, that position, having a strong center, is basically like the quarterback of the offensive line. And there's not many that did it better than Frank Ragnow. And it is a little bit surprising, like you said, the age, but it's not. If you look around, I mean, it's hard to find many players that are over 60 or 70 that played 10 plus years that can walk. You know what I mean? Like really honestly function with their body. I think that nowadays players realize, hey, I've got the bag. I've made my money.
Right.
Is gutting it out for a third contract to maybe, make another 10, 20, $30 million. Is that worth literally not being able to use my body past 40 years old? I think that guys are getting smarter, and it's a big deal, dude. This is going to hurt the Lions a lot more than I think a lot of people may expect. And with the changes that they've had in the coaching room, this could be maybe the straw that broke the camel's back. Not that they're going to be horrible or anything like that, but I think it's a massive deal.
Yeah. Coach Lynn in the chat says, huge deal. That O-line group is one of the best with him. And you guys know that I've been pretty vocal the last few years since we started doing the podcast that I seem to think center is more valuable than most fans do. And when we talk about, hey, look at the great teams that have really, really good centers, like Kansas City on that epic run, obviously with all the championships, Philadelphia being dominant over the last few years or in the hunt anyway. And then obviously them spending a lot of time allowing Jason Kelce to kind of handpick his replacement when he got ready to retire. And, of course, Detroit is one of those teams that we always highlighted. We always talked about how Frank Ragnow is just one of the best in the game. And if you're wondering how good he was, just go to the PFF grades here. I mean, look at his career. He did nothing but – he pretty much got better his entire career, had one setback in 2022, but starting in 2018. And this is what we're talking about. This is a great kind of parallel. When we say if a rookie grades out in the 60s, it's typically a good sign that, hey, that's going to be a solid player. His PFF grades starting in 2018, 66.5, 74.9, 80.3, 86.7, 77.9, slight dip back, and then jumped right back up to a career high 88.1 and then stabilized last year at 85.3. So he's still playing borderline elite football according to PFF. So just somebody that absolutely dominant with his craft. And then when you look at the top players on that Lions team last year, I'm sorry, not the Lions team, but the entire NFL, when you look at the center position, rather, I know it's kind of hard to see there. I was trying to zoom in for you. Here we go. You got Eric McCoy leading the way. Granted, only 293 snaps last year for New Orleans, but he had a 94.4 grade. Creed Humphrey, I know it still hurts, 92.8. And then Frank Ragnow, third in the entire NFL at 85.3. There's no two ways about it, guys. The Detroit Lions, they're going to feel this. They are going to feel this. Now, they went out, if I remember correctly, and they drafted Tate Ratledge, I believe. I think that's the name I remember hearing on draft night. And I think he's been taking first-team reps as the center during the OTAs while Frank Ragnow was away and trying to make the decision, sounds like. So I don't think this is just going to absolutely flip the card upside down for Detroit, Jacob, but I do think it is a big deal. I really do. I think it's only going to hurt them, right? It's only going to hurt them. So, yeah,
I agree. It's interesting when you look at this list too. Obviously, we know with what Creed Humphrey brought to the table, but guys like Drew Dahlman, who obviously went and signed, I believe, with Minnesota. They went out and just tried. Or no, did Dahlman go to the Bears or was that Minnesota? It was Minnesota, right?
I can't remember now.
Or no, I think maybe it was the Bears. God, I can't remember. It was either the Bears or Minnesota. I can't remember exactly which one. But then there was a couple guys, Zach Frazier and Lindenbaum. Those are guys, if you remember, we highlighted in that draft about how important this was
Bears
2 years ago. Bears for Dahlman. Okay, yeah. And so center is becoming more and more and more important. And I think teams are starting to catch on, and younger centers are coming in the league and they're just really playing well out of the gate. That Linderbaum, like I said, Zach Frazier, I know was a new one. I feel like that this year too, there could be a few guys that come in and actually play very well. It's going to be interesting to see if Elton really shows out what's going to come of that. If he doesn't, work out at center, I don't know what else we would do there, but it's starting to show the importance of that position for sure in the league.
Yeah, and when you look at the top offensive players on Detroit roster last year, and if you're wondering why are we talking about the Lions, I mean, listen, they won the North. It is what it is. That's the team we're chasing in the North right now, right? So it's important to kind of keep your finger on the pulse. But Jahmyr Gibbs, 88.5. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 88.1. Penei Sewell, 87.5. Kevin Zeitler, 86.5, and then Frank Ragnow at the 85.3. Of course, David Montgomery, their second string running back, or maybe he's a starter and got the majority of the reps. Let's see here. No, it was definitely Jahmyr Gibbs that seen more snaps, but he had an 84.9 and David Montgomery, and then Jared Goff, 81.8, Christian Mahogany, 81.6. So you can kind of see Taylor Decker down there too with 894 snaps, grading out of 77. Frank Ragnow, according to PFF, would be their third best offensive lineman going into this year, but I think many people would agree that at his best, he's probably the top player on that entire roster. Definitely peaked a little bit earlier in his career, but nonetheless, going to be a big deal, I think, for the Detroit Lions with Frank Ragnow. Anything else you want to add to that, Jacob, before we move along, man?
No, I mean, gosh, when you look at that Lions offense there, or Lions team in general, it's easy to understand why they did so well. Those guys just on an individual level really performed really well.
Yeah, building the trenches, man. Building the trenches on the defensive side. You had, what was it, McNeil, I believe was his name, that had the knee injury, and then you had Aiden Hutchinson that obviously went out with the horrible injury, and I don't know if he's on pace to be back for week 1 or not, but you guys know how I feel about this. I don't care how much I hate a team. I'm never going to root for injuries. I'm never going to be excited when somebody gets hurt. And I'm not going to be like overly excited when Frank Ragnow retires, although we are going to be 100% honest. It's a big deal for Detroit. It's going to be a hole. It's going to be a player that's missed. So let's talk a little Josh Jacobs, man. Speaking of filling a void there, boy, did Goody hit a home run last year, Jacob, with this signing of Josh Jacobs, man. Just absolutely dominant. And if you don't think so, look at these numbers, man. And this actually did not update. I had a PFF grade in here as well, but Josh Jacobs set the tone for the 2024 Green Bay Packers, ranking towards the top of every statistical category in the NFL for running backs. He was actually the third highest graded running back, graded out in the 90s, according to PFF. Rushing yards, he finished 6th. Rushing touchdowns, he finished 4th with 15 rushing touchdowns. Rushing yards over expected, 6th. Rushing yards after contact, 3rd. And then rushes of 10 yards or more, he had the 6th most in the entire league. So when you look at Josh Jacobs, sometimes you think, okay, well, he doesn't have that top end speed. He's not a home run hitter. He can hit home runs when you need him to. And the fact that he had that many explosive runs just shows you how he truly does help the offense move down the field. Man, Josh Jacobs, what a signing by Brian Gutekunst.
Yeah, that's up there with one of the better signings. I mean, we've been kind of spoiled because for a long time, it seems like we went very few and far between when we would make any sort of splash in free agency. And then all of a sudden, obviously, we had the Smith brothers, Amos, Devondre Campbell, Rasul Douglas, now getting guys that are brought in, obviously, with X, Josh Jacobs. And it's been pretty darn good. And that's, again, why I think that we have to give a little bit of leeway and really see how guys like Nate Hobbs and Aaron Banks are going to pan out. But if the past is any indication of the future, then we should be excited and really get to see a couple guys that immediately help this. If they're going to follow the same pattern, they're going to step in, they're going to immediately help this team become better. I really do hope that that's what happens. With Josh Jacobs specifically, though, I mean, you couldn't ask for him to come in. What was the biggest thing that I said? You guys remember, I was very upset with the decision to let Aaron Jones go.
I was too.
I still am. There's parts of me that still are butthurt about that for a number of different reasons. One of them just being the loyalty thing. And I just didn't think he was washed up, and the difference of $1 million and keeping him or letting him go to the Vikings was, to me, almost kind of incomprehensible. But I said it on the podcast. I said, I'd love to be pleasantly surprised. And if Josh Jacobs comes in here and does everything he needs to do to the point where I am comfortable with the fact that we let Aaron Jones go, then he must have put on one hell of a show. And lo and behold, look what happened. Josh Jacobs came in and epitomized what it is to be a leader, what it is to be a team first guy, what it is to take a lot of the team on his shoulders and almost single-handedly change our running game. I don't remember the last time that we had a running game that you just could count on the fact that, like, hey, we're going to grind it out. We're going to be able to move the ball, and we're not going to back away from it if it doesn't happen right away. And I'm at the point now where I am comfortable saying that I think Goot made the right decision. Now it's been 1 year. We need to see consistency. That's something that that Jones gave us was, every year that he was going to at least give you his all. Doesn't mean he was going to play every game necessarily, but you knew the games he was playing, the dude was going to give his best, right? And I think that Josh Jacobs, specifically with what he said at the end of the year and how he took that on as a leader and said, hey, we need to get this and this right, and we need to do this and that, and didn't shy away from it when even people started, there was a little bit of brushback, even possibly from some of our own players, that tweeted some maybe decipherable type tweets and then maybe backtracked. I'm cool with what he did because he's the guy that earned it. He's one of those guys where if you speak up, he deserves to be listened to because of what he did. And I think the team hopefully respected it and didn't take it personally. And I don't think they did.
Yeah. Judy in the chat says, I also don't feel like we gave Jacobs an elite offensive line. So it was Jacobs doing a lot of the special work. I completely agree with that. And I think Greg Rice pointed out here, was Jacobs' yard to contact like 2 yards unacceptable, if that is correct. It was something crazy. He really did make chicken salad out of chicken, what. There's no two ways about that. And
poop.
Yeah, poopy. And we'll have to beep that out. So the other thing too is like trying to understand what the scheme is asking the offensive lineman to do. The biggest black eye on that offensive line was definitely Josh Myers. And I don't mean to keep piling on, but man, when you would see them set up the hat count perfect and you'd see Myers get to the second level and just completely whiff. And it's like, for someone who moves as well as him, the burst he's got, the size he's got, the arm, everything that you would want in a oversized center, with the flexibility, the I don't want to say versatility, but just the athleticism. And then he gets to the point of attack, and it's like, Mike Wall said, how you arrive at confrontation determines how you handle confrontation. It doesn't matter, if you get there or not. If you get there and you're not under control, you're not under balance, you don't know where to place your hands, you don't know how to keep your feet under, you don't know how to play with leverage, it don't make a hill of beans. That's why some players that in the history of the game that had, low athletic scores went on to be great offensive linemen because they just understood leverage. They understood how to run block. And that's something that I felt like Myers held us back on. I'll tell you another one too is Rasheed Walker. As much as we talk up Rasheed Walker and we love Rasheed Walker, and man, has he been a great 7th round pick, his run blocking is not that good, bub, So that's another reason why you look up and go, it's going to be hard to pay him top 5 tackle money when really he just does half of the job description well, And don't get me wrong, he does it really well, I believe, pass blocking, but run blocking definitely an issue there for sure. 2-0 for this in the chat says Jones is a Packer through and through, so it's so bittersweet letting Williams wear 33. I think we would all somewhat agree with that. Chris Casual says JJ and AJ 33 should have been something, man. It really should have. And that's the part that hurt me, Jacob, was you were $1 million off of what the Vikings gave him. And the thought of those two being your 1A and 1B. Now, would Jonesy have been as good as Emmanuel Wilson? I think he would have been as good, definitely, probably better. However, when you looked at just how well Emmanuel Wilson ran last year, I want to say he actually graded out higher than Jonesy. We'll hit that here in a second.
Emmanuel Wilson, I always laugh because I think it was this morning's Ryan podcast where I think he went through realistic expectations for each player on the offense and the defense within reason. And with him, when he got to Emmanuel Wilson, he's like, just keep doing what you're doing, buddy. I don't know why, but it seems like the Packers just want to get rid of you. Just like they randomly want to get rid of all the people that just do nothing but show us consistently over and over and over that they deserve to be on the field. But for whatever reason, he's like, I'm scared they're going to get rid of you. So just keep doing what you're doing. And I understand in theory what he's saying. I really do, because it seems like for whatever reason, Emmanuel Wilson, he went so far to say that he's a top 20 back in the NFL, which if you look at the numbers, it's there. Look right,
he's the 12th highest graded running back at 82.9. By the way, Aaron Jones is 19th at 75.4. So as much as I want to continue to say what Chris is saying here, Chris, I agree with you. Like I've talked about it as much as anyone. Like,
we'll always have that 45 minutes where we thought it was true.
Oh,
remember that?
I was like, this is going to be unbelievable because Goody came out and said they were bringing Aaron Jones back. Yeah. And then it goes to, oh crap, are we getting 2022 Josh Jacobs or 2023 Josh Jacobs? we got even better than 2022 Josh Jacobs. We got 2024 Josh Jacobs. I mean, that dude came out the gate swinging. As you see here, he finished third, 92.3. And his receiving grade is what's wild, 89.2 receiving grade. Come on. So, again, when you look at it just from a PFF standpoint, and it's not everything, Emmanuel Wilson, man, it's hard to find a better backup. I mean, let's look at it real quick. Is there a team with two logos the same? It looks like Atlanta Falcons, right? So the Atlanta Falcons have Bijan Robinson at 92.8, and then they've got David Montgomery at 85.9. And then who'd you say, Detroit? Yeah, Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs, 90.1, David Montgomery, 85.9, right?
Tampa, that guy's got he's got 112 snaps, you know?
Right, yeah. And Emmanuel Wilson did grade out higher than him at 82.9. So just interesting to kind of look at, you know, that running back tandem. And one thing you will notice, there's several teams here that's got multiple backs toward the top of the list. You notice that? You got Justice Hill with Baltimore along with Derrick Henry, who led the way to 94.1. That's very, very interesting there. So Seattle, same thing. You got Zach Charbonnet at 77.5 down there. And, of course, their starting or their highest graded running back, Kenneth Walker, the third, 88.5. So it was somewhat common to have multiple backs. Nonetheless, so Emmanuel Wilson, I think he's going to be solid, man. So let's see here. Joseph in the chat says, go ahead, Jacob. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, while we're talking about the running backs and the backups at that, Joseph earlier said, is Lloyd ever going to be healthy? Have the guys covered what exactly is still going on with him these past few days? I have been MIA. We did talk about it, and it was more of, we were both, I think, kind of, I wouldn't say disappointed. I mean, yeah, maybe that is, but it seems like he's just got a injury that they're trying to, I don't know, what are they doing, Clay? They're buffering it again, but it's like, it does seem worrisome that even after solid months of doing nothing, that he's not out there, at least just even running. You know, that to me was a little concerning for sure. I don't know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, if anybody knows what the issue, I want to say somebody mentioned it in the chat the other day, and I didn't know it was news.
I was trying to remember what it was specifically.
If you guys know what's going on with Marshawn Lloyd, is there a specific injury? Is there something? I didn't look up at the injuries last year and go, man, this guy's injury prone. It just looked like bad luck. I mean, for God's sakes, his appendix ruptured. Like you had to have a emergency appendectomy, right? Like I don't know of an exercise or a training that you can do to prevent that, right? So Atham says his biceps are too big and short. There you go. All right, appreciate that. Dynamite drop in, Monty. Joseph also said, I prefer Jacobs over Jones. I can't believe I'm saying that. Yeah, I'm with you, man. And again, look at the PFF. And again, it's not everything, but hell, the stats we talked about. He was better than Aaron Jones in every statistical category just about, right? So, I mean, it is what it is, for sure. Let's see here. 2-0 for this says the combo of Jacobs and Jones could be absolutely unstoppable. Let Jacobs be the bell cow and Jones be the knockout. That's kind of the way I felt about it too. But I will say this about our boy Emmanuel Wilson, Jacob. He ain't afraid to bounce that thing out. Like, when you look at the way he's built, you wouldn't imagine he can make the cuts he makes to get outside. But I always go back to the preseason game, and I know it was preseason, but he had that awesome run. I think it was not last preseason, but the one before. It might have been last year. Gary Ellerson, former Packers running back, said that's not normal. I remember him talking about on the podcast. That cut and that vision is not normal. That's when I was like, okay, when a former NFL running back talks like that about a fellow running back, that's you want to kind of keep your eyes open, right? So pay attention. Going back to that video that I had up, and then we'll move along here. I just want to one of my favorite Josh Jacobs runs of the year. I don't know if you remember this or not, Jacob, but this was absolutely awesome. This was against the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're going to see it regular speed, and then we'll go slow motion. But this is what we're talking about with the cutback, right? Now, I want to say, let's watch the footwork. See if this is a counter. Yeah, this is it kind of sets up like normal run, but it's a counter. That jump, hop step, whatever you want to call it, breaking the tackle. Watch it in slow motion, Jacob. And watch the dirt kick up too. Watch right here. This cut.
That's pretty cool.
Sick. And then running through arm tackle. Look, Christian Watson down there doing just enough. And I was, okay, we ain't done yet. My man's still going. So just an absolutely awesome cut. Let's watch it again a couple of times here.
Can we watch it from the very beginning?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that first two where he gets kind of in the wash right there, that cut. And then, oh, man.
Yeah. Actually, let's just go back to the regular speed.
Like just about because like the ability to stop right
Bang.
there and then boom.
Heck of a run, dude. Whoop, whoop. Bodies just flying everywhere, man. That's my favorite part, though. If I can pause it just in time here, Jacobs. Right here. Look at this guy. Look at that poor bastard. Look.
He skipped. He skipped like you when you're getting pulled behind the boat by your dad and he's just trying to make you bail. He hit the water. Like
I love it. These should be some screen grabs right here. Watch this.
Look at
Could watch it all day. So again, Josh Jacobs, man, you got to tip your cap to Goody. We're all critical of Goody from time to time, but man, oh man, that dude, he knocked that one out of the park. He absolutely crushed it. And again, a good reminder, if I remember correctly, Josh Jacobs' RAS coming out of the draft, or into the draft, I should say, out of college in the 5s. So
was it really?
Got to be real careful about putting too much value on that RAS score, you know? So
what are your thoughts on Mr. Coach Len saying Wilson's a dog? Do we keep 4 running backs?
Great question. Let me get your take on it, Jacob. I'm going to go look real quick and see what we broke camp with.
The thing is I don't know, man. It all depends on Marshawn Lloyd, because if he, at this point, obviously, like, don't take this the wrong way. I wouldn't pray for an injury, but if he is still dealing with any sort of like rehab, or even if he's quote unquote dealing with something, we can slip him onto some sort of IR, get through that 53, carry only 3, because I would assume that they're not going to even let Wilson. You can't let Wilson test free agency, right? You can't let Chris Brooks, probably. He's got too much tape. Maybe. I don't know. I definitely would not risk Wilson. I think they like Chris Brooks too much to let him go. Obviously, we don't got no more AJ. The Marshawn Lloyd thing is just the one that's I don't know. I don't know what to think about that anymore. He scares me. It's like he reminds me of like the Bakhtiari situation where it's like, oh, he's gonna be ready to go, and then 2.5 years later, like, you know what I mean? That scares me a little bit.
Yeah, just going through the chat here and trying to get everybody's take here. Let's see. Joseph says, "Poopy." I about said the word, Joseph. You're gonna get me in trouble. Poopy. Lloyd is gonna be on IR. LOL. If he starts on the pup or on IR, then that's one spot that you're kind of saving there. Not that you want him on IR, you want him healthy. But we broke camp last year, Jacob, with 3 running backs: Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, and Emmanuel Wilson. Greg Rice says, does Savion Williams mean one less running back? I don't think so, Greg. I don't think so. I think you carry at least 3, possibly 4. But if I'm cutting one, it's Chris Brooks, because like, who was it that said here? 2-0 for this says Emmanuel Wilson would never last on the practice squad. Chris Brooks was on a practice squad, right? Mm-hmm. So that would suggest, okay, he would last a little longer on a practice squad than maybe Emmanuel. Emmanuel Wilson would not last 2 seconds. I think there's enough tape out there that he would be signed so quick.
I agree.
It would make your head spin. So I think that's a great point there, 2-0 for this. Coach Lynn points out, though, we need what Chris Brooks can do also. Man, that dude did great catching the ball in the backfield, being a blocking back as well, almost like a hybrid H when we're running the pony package. That was another aspect of his game. His pass protection is good. Matt LaFleur, when he talked him up, Jacob, when we picked him up off the scrap heap, I remember rolling my eyes like, okay, man, I don't know. If he's so great, then why is he available? And then lo and behold, every time he got an opportunity, it seemed like he just held his own, man. It was like, wow, he is as advertised for sure.
Yeah. I love it even more because my best friend's name is Tony Brooks, and he has an older brother named Chris. Let's just say Chris is a little bit of an underachiever, but when we had the ability to be like, Chris Brooks playing for the Packers, it kind of made his day. He wasn't quite the worst son anymore. I'm weird thinking that even last year when you look back at the guys we released, I thought Ellis Merriweather played great. Nate McCrary even looked decent in certain preseason stuff. It's like we really do have a good way of, at least lately, it feels like we're of a really good scouting team and the ability to find really good running backs that are like diamonds in the rough, which is not easy to do. I really do think there's no way Emmanuel Wilson, you can't tell me that a team like Dallas or that Cincinnati that are desperate for running backs aren't going to go and try to take a stab at him.
Yeah. And going back to the question of, do you keep one less running back because of Savion Williams? I don't think you do. However, Savion Williams he's going to make the roster, obviously. He's going to be on the initial 53 barring any training camp injury. it does make me look at this wide receiver room where we broke camp with 6. Somebody's not going to be here, boys. I mean, you're talking about adding Matthew Golden, right? We only carried 6. Now let's count them off. Matthew Golden and Savion Williams are locks, right? Romeo Dobbs, that's 3. Christian Watson, 4. Jaden Reed, 5. Dontavion Wicks, 6.
Would Watson be pup though, right? Or
yeah, you're right. Watson would be pup. So Malik Heath and Bo Melton is what it's going to come down to there. You know, I would keep Malik Heath over Bo Melton. That's me personally. However, Bo Melton's got that speed. He actually had a faster 40 than Christian Watson, so maybe he would be harder to keep on the practice squad than a Malik Heath. I could see that argument too. But nonetheless, man, we know those 3 running backs are going to make the roster if they're healthy, right? So now the question is, do you carry Chris Brooks? And I think you probably don't. To me, he would be the guy out, as bad as that hurts me to say that. But again, having Savion Williams with a little bit of running back experience at the college level, that's a nice little, it's kind of like Colin Oliver on defense, Jacob. We talked about how him being able to play stack backer and rush the passer, that gives you a little added versatility there. Now, and who knows, we get into training camp, they may lock him at stack backer and go, we ain't even want to rush him on the edge. Or they may lock him at the edge and say he's never going to play stack backer. But the fact that he's got that experience, he's got the football IQ, the FBI to get that done, I think it's absolutely huge. So anything else you want to see on this initial 53 before I drop it down, Jake? Anything at all from last year?
No, that should be all right.
All right, good deal. All right, so and there is your running back talk of the day. I'll keep that off to the side in case we want to reference it again here in a second. Actually, Josh Jacobs, let's continue here with Josh Jacobs for just a second. I want to show his career trajectory before we moved on. And, so last year in terms of the season grades, the big thing here is availability. My God, that dude's staying healthy all year long, But here are his PFF grades by week: 64, 75, 77, 63, 78, 74, 65, 76, 65, 71, 86, 86, 68, 60, 90, 71, and 76. So the floor for Josh Jacobs last year was a 60.5 PFF grade, and the ceiling was a 90.4. So, man, whenever your worst game, you never dip out of the 60s and your ceiling is a 90, just solid performance all the way around. Now, starting in 2019, season by season, 87, 76, 77, 91, 91. So we get the best version of Josh Jacobs. There's no two ways about it, man. So excited to see what he does in year 2 of Matt LaFleur's offense. They're going to get really creative. I think we'll pull away from the run a touch this year because teams are going to be keying in on it. And I think we may press into the pass just a touch more, as obviously last year I think we ran the ball in terms of percentage run to pass ratio. It was 51 or 52% of the time we ran the ball. And if I remember correctly, that was the most since 2002 or 2003 when we had that power running game under Mike Sherman with Amon Green and William Henderson blocking and Mike Wall and those big hog mollies up front running those power plays. So it's going to be fun to see what Josh Jacobs does years 2.
It's crazy. I don't think of Josh Jacobs of being having 6 years in the league and almost having 7,000 rushing yards. Like that's impressive. Not many guys get to that in their carear. They just don't.
I think
he's already up in some rare air. If he can do it another 3 years, cross that 10,000 yard mark, like that's impressive.
I think it's a great point, man. Those type of guys, if they stay healthy and they create that longevity. Now, listen, I don't know how long it'd be with the Packers. The reality of his contract is his deal is up this year. People were going, whoa, Clayton, he's got 2 years left on the deal. I know he's got 2 years left, but we talked about this. It was essentially a 2-year deal. And what we mean by that is the majority, if not all, the guaranteed money is gone. And I heard Wildy and Tausch talking about this earlier today. What's going to happen there is he's going to pull an Elton Jenkins, and rightfully so. He's going to look at the Packers, go, hey, can I get a little bit guaranteed money here? And they're going to have to make a decision. And they should, with the way he's played. If he plays like that again and he stays healthy again this year, you got to give him another little bite at the apple in that regard. And the thing is, when you guarantee more money, it gives you more cap flexibility, playing cash over cap. So it's just something to keep an eye on there because, again, that's why it was even more as impressive of a signing, because not only did Goody bring that dude in here and completely change the running game and take it to another level, but what he also did it in a safe manner where it's like, hey, this is really just a 2-year deal. Now, Josh Jacobs could say, you know what, I'm just going to play on my current deal and not upset anything. And if he does that, kudos to him. But if he does say, hey, I want some more guaranteed money, let's, as a fan base, agree. He earned that. And let's not go out there and try to drag the dude through the mud, because he's a team leader. He's a locker room guy. He's doing it on the field as well. I just want to say that. I want to be very, very vocal on my stance with that for sure. So Drew D says Jacobs is only 27. We should keep him for a while. I agree. Again, he's under contract through 29, if I remember correctly, through the age of 29. So at that point, you got to make a serious decision. And here's the other thing they pointed out earlier today too. Marshawn Lloyd may take off by that point. And you look up and go, damn, Marshawn Lloyd's better than Jacobs now if he takes that step and stays healthy and all that. Now, I know we're a long way away from that. But if that does happen, that's the NFL, man. It's just, all right, roll the next dude through at running back. It's kind of what teams have done at offensive line for sure. So, yeah, great point there, Drew. He's definitely still fairly young, although I know many people would say running back years, that's getting up there. Another player to keep an eye on, I thought this was a really cool tweet, as PFF tweeted out, Jacob, the defensive players who would take the biggest step forward in 2025. So this is their predictions for most improved player by position, okay? Defensive line, they're saying Jerzon Newton. You guys know we were big on him in the draft the year he came out. Kayvon Thibodeau at the edge position. Tyrese Knight out of Seattle at linebacker. Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback out of New Orleans Saints. And then our very own safety, Javon Bullard. This is per Thomas Valentine over at PFF. Want to get your take on it, man. I think there's a realistic shot that Javon Bullard ends up being the most improved player by position. I mean, he definitely underperformed last year. I think we would all agree, right? No matter what metric you look at, that'd be pretty cool to see him just – how awesome would it be for him to leapfrog Evan Williams as much as we like him? What if Evan Williams plays at the same level he did last year and Javon Bullard plays so damn good that he ends up passing Evan Williams up on the depth chart? Well, you're in real good shape at the safety position if that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. The only issue I have here is it's just where does he fit in, minus an injury, or like you said, him just absolutely coming out of the gates just swinging for the fences, because I really do. You guys know I was the number one fan club of the Javon Bullard fandom there. That was my guy. And I thought he played decent. I didn't like certain snaps from what I saw from him. I find it there's no way he's going to beat out, obviously, X. I don't think he's done enough to show me that he should be playing in front of Evan Williams. Even guys like Zane Anderson have come through in the crunch and shown me that they can be consistent. When he's in the slot, I don't necessarily like what I see. I think that it might be the place he plays best at the moment, which maybe isn't saying the best for him. And I just think that there are now, obviously, with Payne Hobbs and the depth we have at the slot, I don't see him being able to just kind of slip into there. So I would just question, barring injury, where is his fit on this team? And it's a great problem to have, I guess, if you have such a deep, a bunch of depth guys that you think deserve to see the field, but they just aren't going to play out the guys that are in front of them. I don't know. To me, and I hate saying this, and I don't want to, have this be taken the wrong way, but if there was anyone on that defense that to me screamed trade bait, it might be a guy like Javon Bullard, but I don't know.
I tell people this, and again, this is not trying to create a rumor or anything, but when you look at the way this roster is structured, they go out and get Nate Hobbs, who many people are projecting to play the slot with Nixon on the outside, along with Jair if he's here. If not, it'll be Carrington Valentine. That means Javon Bullard is on the bench at corner. And then you look at the safety room and you see, like you said, Jacob, you got Xavier McKinney out there, whether you're playing box safety or you're playing, spur or free post. You got Evan Williams alongside him. He's going to be the backup at safety. So, again, I hate saying this. This is just how my mind fires. And I mentioned it last night. As soon as I mentioned it, Emilio, and I thought the same thing, Clayton. When we were at that restaurant in Green Bay on Wednesday night before the draft, and Drew Rosenhaus was out front, and we stopped and talked to Drew Rosenhaus and a couple other big wigs out there before we went and sat down. Drew Rosenhaus goes down, sits at the table next to us, and then here comes Javon Bullard in the sweetest bright red jumpsuit you ever seen in your life, bro. It was sick. It was like a track suit. my man was just the coolest dude. And everybody else is dressed kind of nice because it was an upper-end restaurant. My man walked in with a tracksuit. Like, I don't care what's going on. Just sat down. And he seemed like a really, really humble, nice dude. But looking back on it now, it's like players meet with their agents all the time. But it does make me wonder, Drew Rosenhaus, could Bullard pull a, hey, what's my role here? Oh, I'm not going to be playing. You know, I'd like to go somewhere where I'm going to play. I mean, it's possible. I hope it doesn't happen like that. I hope he would rather have a, hey, I'm going to go out here and beat all these guys out, even McKinney, you know, have that kind of attitude. But that type of stuff does cross your mind a little bit, man. When you look at PFF grades here,